Welcome to this episode of Writers Infusion. I'm your host, Susan. I am here with the usual gang, Dave, Jen, Julie, and Ed. We are here today to read a mystery short story by Abhishek Indoria from Arizona, and Julie is going to read the story for us.
Summary. A lecturer finds himself spellbound by a haunting story told by a raggedy roadside traveler about his life as he waits for the next bus in a small town in a foreign country. I cursed as I swatted another mosquito from my neck, moving swiftly towards the window to see if I got the bug. I'd bitten by more mosquitoes in the past hour than in the entirety of a year, which included trips to various countries. Just an hour or more, I told myself. I was a lecturer in history and mythology, and I just disembarked from a long journey from Glasgow. Our college had a small yet prestigious staff and a solid reputation, producing fine students in history. Last week, a university in Western India requested a lecture. They were paying handsomely, and so it fell upon me, out of our rotating staff of 4, to go out and give this lecture in due. I looked at the bleary sky through the window. Clouds were forming towards the west, and the usual beautiful sunset you get to hear so much about was nowhere to be seen. I currently stayed in a guest room at a house, a mansion of a prominent priest in the town of Amreli. I had to reach Dieu before 9 in the morning, at best 9:15. I was still beating myself up for the fact that I missed a bus by 10 minutes, which led directly to Dieu. If I had called the bus station earlier, I could have changed the reservation to pick me up here instead of rerouting through Somnath, which added a few extra hours to my journey. The bus left at 10:50 p.m. It was currently 9 p.m. If I had told the priest, I was pretty sure he would have gotten me to Dieu somehow. Heck, he could have paid for my fare and lodgings too. He even offered to lend me a car for the time period, but I declined out of politeness. Foolish, I muttered. I packed light, only a small bag. I went to the corner of the road where a sign said, "Bus stop," on a rusty plate. There were no chairs, just a few stone boulders. I set my bag on one and sat on the other, sighing. I wished I would not end up at the lecture with dozens of mosquito bites and a heat stroke. Coincidentally, I could smell the storm which was about to rain down on me. "Namaskar," I heard behind my back. I turned and saw a thin, scrawny man with round glasses and wild black hair. He stopped when he saw me, hesitated, and then pointed at my bag. "Mind if I sit down?" he said with a thick accent. Of course. I took the bag and carefully placed it between my knees. "Where are you off to, sir?" he asked preemptively. "Dieu," I mumbled. "I'm waiting for the 10:50 to Somnath and taking the bus to Dieu." "Ah," he smiled broadly. "Do you have a reservation?" "Made one this morning." "You made a mistake, then." He spoke, squinting at the sky. "It's getting late. It's getting quite, how do you say, stormy? And there was a bus which went directly to Dieu. I'm afraid you missed it." "That I know," I said, smiling half-heartedly. "I didn't know much about the buses here, you see. It's sort of hard." "I can see that," he said, looking at me. "You'll reach there soon enough. There's another bus. It's a matter of a few kilometers. All you'll lose is time and money." I sighed. I think I've earned that much. Suddenly, there was a flash of light on the side of the road, and I jumped up. "Do I have to give him a hand, or does the bus stop here regularly?" He squinted towards the set of lights, but for a bit, and then relaxed. "It's okay, sit down, it's just a car," he said. "There are 2 buses. One goes at 9:30, but it's very slow and stops frequently. It'll take you there even later than the bus, which comes at 10:50. It doesn't stop anywhere else." The lights just crossed in front of me. Car. I was surprised how accurately he had been able to tell what vehicle it was. "Have you been outside of India?" I asked, curious. "No," he said. "Why do you ask?" "You speak good English." He laughed. "And Portuguese and Hindi and Bangla. I make do." Shrugging, he pulled a water skin out of his bag and took a long swig. "I've been around. I don't have a particular place I belong to. I don't even know where my parents were from and what language they spoke." "How so?" I asked with a bit of hesitation. "Ah, it's an old story." He stretched his feet. "A long time ago, approximately 52 years back, there was an accident at this Amreli Somnath road. I don't think—" He paused, his eyes scanning my face. "Yes, I don't think you were born back then." "Anyway, you should really travel here during the daytime. It's one of the most beautiful routes in all of India. There are plains, coasts, mountains, and there are a lot of animals you get to see in the farms. It's even more excellent when it's raining," he said, nodding towards the storm. "You were talking about an accident?" I reminded him. "Oh, yes. Approximately 52 years ago, there was an accident. The road takes a dangerous U-turn halfway to Somnath. That's where it happened. There was another set of lights on the route, and I looked up, curious. Truck, he grunted. I'm sorry, I stammered. Please go on. It was a bus overflowing with people. More than the guy should have taken in, but that's India for you. Well, no one knows what exactly happened, but I'm going to make a guess and say that the driver couldn't turn it properly at that U-turn. There was an about 2,000 feet drop right next to the road. I grimaced. He nodded. The bus was on fire before it even reached the surface. Everyone burned to death. No one survived. He made a face. No one but a child of about 1.5 years. I looked up at him, surprised. I heard a loud sound and turned in time to see that the vehicle was in fact a truck. It's a surprise. Was he injured? No, not injured. Not even concussion. It was talk of all the village. It was strange. There was one explanation many have contemplated. There's a flowery tree near the road. Well, not one, but there are many trees scattered around this road of that kind. It was possible that the child was reaching out of the window for the flowers, and it was a strange coincidence that he grabbed a branch as soon as the bus lurched towards the drop. When the villagers heard the sound of the explosion, they hurried towards the bus. It was then they found the child hanging from the tree. Judging from the clothes of the child, it seemed as if he was from a rich family. He could, however, say absolutely nothing except Mom and Dad. It was hard to find out who he was exactly. The police were trying to search the bus for anything that might belong to the child, but they could not find anything. He paused. This is a truck as well. What happened to the child? I asked. The next day, the newspapers had every single detail about the explosion, as well as a big picture of the child. However, even after several days, there was nothing. Nobody came to claim the child. Yes, several people, villagers in fact, came forward to adopt the child. However, they could not because of a legal issue. The problem was the child had to be completely abandoned for him to be eligible for adoption. Nobody knew if anyone would come in the future claiming the child as theirs. Hence, the magistrate ruled that the child was to be sent to an orphanage. As the truck passed in front of my eyes, I started to wonder what kind of man could identify vehicles at night and from such a distance. Do you know who the child was? I looked at him, realization dawning on me. Ah, yes. He took out a small picture from a wallet and handed it to me. This was me at the time of the accident. Did you find out something else? No, I could not. I lived in the orphanage for about 6 years before I ran away. It wasn't a good orphanage. The owners beat us, and they made us beg for food. They made us steal. If anybody refused, they would stick hot iron rods on our hands, he said, showing me his scarred hands. That one is a bus.
Thanks. This is a short story. It's about 3,500 words altogether. So these are the first pages. I like the from a higher level. I like the story. I think it's kind of a cool introduction that this guy, he's got the mosquito and he missed his bus and he's got to get somewhere and he meets this interesting guy. So I like that. I have a couple of things that one's technical and one's more something I think is missing from the story. So I'll start with the technical. And at the beginning, there's a lot here that I feel like it needs to be written so I really understand what's going on. I am just really confused in terms of what is happening step by step. So if you look at the very beginning, it's the very first sentence, really. I cursed as I swatted another mosquito from my neck, moving swiftly towards the window to see if I got the bastard. So, and I read a couple. I let that go. I read a couple more lines. I saw he had just disembarked from a bus. So I thought, is he on? So then I'm thinking, is he on a bus? Why is he going towards a window to see if he got a mosquito? I mean, it just didn't even make any sense to me. And then I realized he's in a hotel. So the first suggestion I made was, make sure we understand where he's at when he's swatting the mosquito. If he's on the bus, have him be on the bus, have him disembark from the bus, get to where he's going, if that's what you want to do. And then from there, I don't know, for some reason I forgot that it was nighttime. So when he was at the hotel and then left the hotel, I'm almost not sure why he even had to do all that. Maybe he's just going from one bus to the next. He just sits out there and waits for the next one. I don't know. I wasn't sure. Like, was he leaving his stuff there but then going to the next place because it was so far away? I couldn't figure that out. And then when he goes back outside on the second page, I forgot for some reason that the bus left at 10:50. I forgot it was dark out. So I just put a note in here, just tell us it's dark out. So I just want to open this with saying, I really think the beginning needs to be really clear as to where he is and exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that was the first comment I had, is I don't know where he is or when. I mean, somehow you got bus and hotel. I didn't get
I
that.
didn't see him in a hotel.
I mean, he said he had disembarked,
Well-
but I don't know if he got
in
off
a
a
house.
ship.
He's in a
an
mansion.
He's in a
airplane.
house
Sorry,
or
a
a
mansion.
mansion, right.
Yeah,
Not a hotel.
and
mansion.
from
No, I thought he
Glasgow.
was sitting on a rock,
Well,
waiting
he
for a
got
bus.
to
No, but he
Well,
walks
he
to there.
got
He
there.
walks to the bus stop.
Yeah, but we don't
from
know
wherever.
we don't know where
Right.
he is in
I
this
know.
opening. He could be
Yeah.
sitting on the rock this
Yeah.
whole time.
No, because he read the window. There was a
And-
mosquito
Oh, that's
by the
true.
window.
There's a window,
Well, you can
but
solve the whole problem. The important part, or the interesting part of this story is the guy telling the story.
right,
Yes.
Why screw around with all the mosquitoes
That's-
and
yeah.
trucks
Yes.
and buses and everything else?
exactly.
Just start with the guy behind him saying
Right.
namaste or whatever
Exactly, I said the
Right.
same thing.
I
So
think
your
so
story
too.
starts here, and I marked that exact
Right.
spot. The rest of it is, you don't need a,
he said. It's like clearing his throat. It's plus it's a short story.
Right.
Right.
Every
Get
word
to-
has to
yes.
carry its own weight.
Yes.
It's like a poem. Everything has to be important.
Mm-hmm.
And the first page and a half are not.
At least as far as we know. I mean, this is supposed to be a mystery, and
Right.
so far there's no mystery.
Well, there is a mystery.
Well, there is a
He's
mystery.
wondering why the guy can identify cars that you can barely see down the road. That's
Okay.
what I'm guessing is a mystery.
That's
That's the
weak.
only thing I can.
I
it
thought
is
maybe
weak.
he
That's
was.
weak.
I hope
I
that's
thought he
not
was
it.
enough to
blind.
grab you.
I thought he was blind. Well, I'll
No.
tell you, I think it's
Oh,
important to know that.
That's interesting.
if he was
I
blind.
thought he
You
was,
think he's blind?
I thought he was blind also.
Oh, did it say he was blind?
No, so he has
No.
a heightened sense of.
He
No,
would
but he
if
pointed to the rock and knew the guy's
Well, I think he just
bag was
sensed he
there,
knows the
may
bus
I?
stop. He assumed. I don't
Well, how
know.
do you know the guy
Yeah,
had
there's
to
no
use
direct
that?
evidence that he's blind.
No.
I may be
Although
wrong.
that's an interesting.
Blind would be a
I'd
good
throw it
choice.
in there.
Yeah.
That makes it even better.
Yeah.
I
But he
think
knew
we
the bag
do.
was
I
there.
think we do need the lecturer. I think we do need him somewhere, because I saw The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, and I saw The Open Window by Saki/H.H. Monroe when I was reading this. So you need something anchored, some person in a house on a rock somewhere, and then for the stranger to come and weave a tour.
But we can
Well,
find
yeah, but
that
not
all
a
out
page
by
and a
knowing
half.
he's on the.
No,
right.
I agree.
Yeah.
One paragraph would set the give the setting.
Yeah.
Right.
He's sitting on a rock,
Yeah.
waiting for a bus to go to this place
To
Right.
give a lecture.
to give a lecture.
Right.
And he hears somebody behind him. That's all
Yeah,
he needs
right.
is like an establishing shot in a movie.
Right.
And
Well, I
by the
mean-
way, Namaste was how I heard it. Namaskar, I looked up and it means hello in Hindi. But why don't we say I recognize that greeting, that Hindi greeting, or why isn't it defined?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think I'd be
I don't know what
rather
it meant.
frustrated as a reader.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
right.
thought it was a name.
Hearing, because he hits an
thought
exclamation
it was a
point.
name, too.
Is it
Yeah.
a greeting, or is it a warning, or is he angry?
I thought he spilled his
didn't know.
Coke or something. And
It's a swear word.
That's good.
Could be.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like everyone agrees that basically this starts with the guy sitting on the rock.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and as Dave pointed out, it's a short story. You don't want to waste any words. We can find out as he's sitting on the rock, he's waiting for the next bus, where the bus is going, or you can find out where the bus is going when the guy comes up. Actually, right, he can just be sitting there waiting to go somewhere, and the guy will say, "Where are you going?" That's when we find out where he's going. If it doesn't come into play that he was staying with a priest, it almost doesn't matter. But if
Yeah,
for some
exactly.
reason
Right.
you have to keep that in,
We
then
can weave
has
it in
to be-
later. Right,
Yeah,
weave
you
it
can
in
weave
later.
in later.
Yes.
The other, I don't know, I mean, so the other big thing I had with this was that I wasn't at all emotionally attached to the main character at all.
Yeah.
There was no reason to be. It was really, I didn't know anything about his background, so I just wrote down a couple of ideas. If he's sitting there and he's on the rock thinking, maybe he's going through a divorce and he's really sad, or his child is getting back and now he had to come to this lecture, his child is getting married and he has to rush back, or there has to be something that's going to connect us with him to make him human. And right now I don't feel that at all.
yeah, let me take the other route on that. I think that's just that's throwing in more curves. It's irrelevant to the story. The story is the guy behind him who hung onto a branch while the bus is falling off a cliff. That's the story. This guy is he's like Ishmael. He's merely transmitting a story.
Someone else's story.
Exactly, someone else's story.
Yeah.
I don't think he is he's a camera.
Right, he's reflecting.
That's all he is a camera. But then the writer And I really do like the beginning of the story. Not the beginning. I like the part where he's an orphan, and that's the beginning of a very interesting story.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I would very much. I can get, you're looking for emotional involvement. A kid in an orphanage with no parents and no past, really, being beaten by people who are supposed to be. That to me is enough of a grab.
Well, I think so too. So then I don't know what the mystery is.
Not yet.
It has to do
Right.
with this guy being
Well-
able to.
Well, it has to do with the tree. The tree's significant somehow with
You
the
think
flower.
so?
I don't know.
Like, and the guy's getting on a bus. I'm wondering if, like,
We
Here's
would-
the stranger coming
if
with
this
him.
bus that they're getting on is going to get into an accident also.
What if it didn't
Oh,
say?
I hadn't thought of that.
So, there was a bus, and now they're waiting for another bus. So
That's
is
good,
something going to
Jen.
happen? I mean, I'm interested
We're
in what's going
keying
to happen.
in on his giveaway, and plus, I don't think reading a summary helps understanding the story. It's like a query letter. Don't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
The story tells the story.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
true.
so I wouldn't even bother with the summary.
Well, I asked for the summary.
I understand, but we don't have to read it.
Oh.
What
Got
was
it.
that? I was afraid. I thought it was a bug on my shirt. No,
Mosquito.
It's a mosquito.
Maybe that's it. I'm waiting for
The story's coming to life.
Yeah. No, I really do. I like the way the story's presented. I would like it even more with a English as a second language flair.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of it. But I find these stories fascinating, especially the guy who was 52 years old who saved his life by holding onto a branch as the bus is falling away from him.
That part's good.
Yes. yes.
I have to. I like that part, but I think even that could be heightened more.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh, sure.
this guy telling the story, the old guy.
Yeah.
How many thousand times must he have told this story? And he's telling it in a way that is not
Like he's never told it before.
right.
I agree.
Because I think he's always looking for an audience. That's what I say.
There are ways to tell this story to make it even more interesting. Like to say,
Yes.
a child survived a 2,000-foot drop, and the guy could be, how is that possible?
Right.
You say, well, the child was found hanging onto a tree. He reached for a flower. It's like, that seems more poignant than saying, well, there's a grove of trees and,
Or he could pull out the newspaper clipping.
yeah.
Oh, good idea.
Or, I don't know, but it
there's
just
something
seems like
about
Yeah.
it's odd. I mean,
But that
like I
is
said,
the
this
story.
guy must have been telling this story his entire life because it's such a strange occurrence. But we don't really get that.
Well, so do we think he's told it 1,000 times?
Oh, I think he's always seeking an
Yeah.
audience, yes.
Okay.
I think he hangs out at the bus stop.
Well,
in
even
the
if we
woods,
don't-
Yeah, you might,
comes
yeah.
upon strangers.
Let's say we
Oh,
do.
it's Forrest Gump in India.
So even if we don't care about this other guy who's initially sitting there, I
But
still
we
don't
need
even.
him. We need
I
the
still
story to
don't
be
even
told
like
to
the way
someone.
he reacts. I find that he doesn't show
Ah.
enough
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
interest
Yeah.
or surprise or
Amazement,
anything.
yeah.
Amazement.
Yeah,
I
that can be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hide as long as. See, I think this author doesn't really know where the story is intended to affect people, and if he realizes that the beginning is superficial, the real story is the initial conversation between the lecturer and the orphan, and almost do it like a stage play. I keep on going back to that. Create it as if they're sitting alone on a darkened stage, sitting on a rock.
Yeah.
No distracting
No,
scenery.
nothing. There's
Beautiful.
nothing
Yep.
around them.
Yep.
Forget the buses going by. Although,
It might come into play.
if he's
They might-
blind, how did he know it was a bus and then a car or the reverse?
Well, you could
Because
tell
the
by
sound of the
hearing
I would say
that.
sound.
But he just saw the pair of lights down there.
Well,
The speaker said he saw
Oh,
lights.
Right.
right.
I
Right.
may
Well, you
be
couldn't
very
get
wrong.
from that far.
No.
I don't
But
know.
he could see because, like you said, he saw the bag
I saw the bag.
on the
Okay.
rock where you wanted to
I like
go.
it better with him blind.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, because it's like so,
The mystery is
you
more-
could see. Yeah, I think I could tell a bus's lights are going to be much higher.
Right.
I don't know.
But you
I
can-
don't understand
But a
why he's so in
distance.
awe of
I don't either.
that he can tell it's a car or
Yeah,
a bus.
why he's focused on
I
that.
know.
I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, to me it was like why is that so surprising?
Yeah.
And
It
is
does-
it and is it a winding road? Is it straight away? It must be straight for quite a bit if they can see headlights.
Right.
But I too had to read a few times that it was night, that it was PM.
He needs to
And
remind
he
us.
saw the rusty sign but we don't know how he saw it. Is it illuminated by moonlight, or is there artificial lighting? I was very
Right.
curious.
Yeah, well, he does
need
say
to
it was currently 9 p.m.
get a sense
He does
of
say that.
He does a few times, but it didn't register with me.
Yeah.
And I
How
thought,
late does it stay light in India?
right,
I was
in whatever
wondering that
season this
too.
is. You're
Right.
right, that's a good point too. And wouldn't there be more people at the bus stop? I wondered if more
Well,
people.
not
There's
in the
more
middle of
people
nowhere.
all the time in India,
Right.
everywhere.
So wouldn't there be more people at this particular bus stop?
Oh, maybe.
Well,
It seemed they're in the middle of nowhere.
And
Just the two.
I hate to get into the buses because presumably that will be cut away in the next version. But I was just mystified by the whole bus thing. I mean, where is he? Where is he trying to get to?
I couldn't really get it.
How long does it take to get there? He tells us when the bus gets
Yeah,
there,
I wondered that
Yeah.
but
too.
we have no idea.
How long is the bus
but
ride?
He said one of the buses save you several hours. Well,
Right.
how the hell long is this
Right.
bus trip?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all he
You
has
know?
to do
But
is
why
if he's
is he
starting at-
staying? Why isn't he staying closer to where the
Yes.
lecture is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that
Why is he
wasn't clear
staying so
either.
far away?
Right.
I was really, but
That's
I
a
don't think he
very-
meant to.
I mean, like I said, presumably
got
all that's going to be
confused.
cut away, but
Yeah.
right
But
now.
none of that really matters. All
No,
that
that's
matters is
right.
that he's waiting for a bus.
Yeah.
And this guy
Well,
comes
I'd
and
like
tells
to-
up a story. So
I'd like to know the subject of his lecture. Wouldn't it be nice to know his particular subject, because it may be that
History and
overlaps.
History and
Right,
mythology.
but
Well, he
what
does say
in history or mystery, what in history or what in mythology, particularly because it could tie into the stranger
That's
Well,
a
if it
great
does,
point.
then-
that
Yeah,
they
that's a
could be
great point.
interwoven.
Bus
But-
gods and goddesses.
But I
That's
think
right.
if you're going to
Mystical, yeah,
Yeah.
I like
But I
that.
think if you're going to do that, which I think is a great idea, then you need to bring that more into the story.
Oh, I agree. I need
With
that
his
identified.
character
Yes.
and
Yes.
Right.
more
It wouldn't-
hints.
Yeah, like is there some connection between him and his life that's
Yeah.
unsuspected that
Well, there must
Might-
be, right?
yeah.
That
A
must
parallel
be what's so
that this
interesting.
may could add layers.
And by the
levels,
way,
yes.
when I've ridden my bike a lot, and I used to get to this point where I would try to guess what was coming up from behind me, and I could do it. It took some
Uh-huh.
practice.
Huh.
So I don't know. I don't know why that's such a big deal, but I guess we'd find out if we
Huh.
read the whole
like
story.
by sound or by
By sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
There must
he
be
was
reason.
telling it by sound.
Right, but I'd like to see a lot more connection then between what he's. I love mythology. I'd
do
love to
too.
see
I
a
do
lot
too.
of.
And does this
connection.
man get on the bus with him? Does the stranger join him on the bus ride,
Well,
or is
we're not
that
going to
it?
know that.
Right. I'm
No,
just
but
kidding.
it's
I'm
good.
asking.
I'm curious
in
too.
the
Like,
air.
I do want to know the rest of the story. So, to this author's
The rest of
credit,
what story?
I'm interested.
The
old guy.
lecturer
What-
or the-
yeah, he's
The raggedy-
52. He's not
the
old.
raggedy
you know what I mean? But
stranger.
The raggedy
No, he's not-
stranger.
He's 52. He's not old at all. He's
He's
a
not
spring
old.
chicken.
But the thing
Many
is,
years of health and
Well,
family.
he's 52 plus, 18 months because he was
Right,
18 months because
right.
of the accident.
But if you
so
think
he's quite
about-
young.
Quite young.
but you can make them both interesting. It doesn't just have to be the guy telling his story.
Right, you hope the protagonist
If the
is interesting.
lecturer is
Yes.
a fascinating person, and like
Connected
he's
in some
coming
way.
there. Right, he's got some mythology thing going. The guy says something where he's like, "Oh, I was going to talk about that in my lecture."
Uh-huh.
Then you can make both characters really interesting, and you're wondering about the mystery and the connection,
connection.
while you're also really enjoying the story about
Boy,
the
we-
terrible story about how he fell off
We're
the bus.
writing a
and
good
all that.
story here,
Yeah,
aren't we?
we're rewriting what should be a very simple story.
No, but this
Yeah,
is good
adding-
though.
Yeah, but we don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know what the story is.
No, and that's the problem.
I
Right.
continue
Right.
5
with my
pages in
original
a short
point.
story.
We don't know what the mystery is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
5 pages deep into a short story, we should know what the problem is.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Right.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
okay, you have a mystery short story. You are presumably going to try and get it published in a mystery collection
Yes.
or mystery magazine, and they're not going to go through 5 pages without
Right.
knowing what the mystery is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, if this weren't labeled a mystery short story, I wouldn't know
Wouldn't
it's a
know.
mystery.
Right.
I thought it would be an adventure, a travel, but
Yeah.
mystery's off the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the first maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs can just go. I mean, you can weave some of that in if you want to say, oh, I'm here from Glasgow. Maybe they can talk, oh, I'm here to give a lecture. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know that he's staying with a priest. We don't need to know
Mosquitoes.
mosquitoes.
Right.
So,
Unless
Right.
while he's sitting there, he swats them and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to kind of have them moving, and that's totally
Yeah,
totally
a bus
fine.
ride in India, I go back to watching travel logs or movies with chickens and
Yeah.
people, I get that sense of discomfort and overwhelming exhaustion. So that's all you have to say as far as I'm concerned. I'm taking a long bus ride across the back roads of India.
Yeah.
Oy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
or have him on the bus just about to doze off when this man engages him and needs to tell his story.
So on the
Amidst the chickens.
last page where the man takes out a small picture from a wallet, and actually that's when we can remove small, because if it's coming out of a wallet, it's obviously a small picture.
Yeah.
He took out a picture or a worn picture or something from a wallet and handed it to me. This is me at the time of the accident. Did you find out something else? He doesn't even look at the photo. Maybe he looks at the
Right.
photo and something jumps out at him about
Right.
the boy, or it connects to his
Yeah,
lecture.
what does the photo look like?
Something,
Yeah, describe it a little
right.
bit.
So some more of a connection between the physical and every single thing, so that we get a feel for what they're both like.
Yeah, that was an odd question. Did you find out more about the accident?
Yeah, I thought
It
so.
was just stuck in there. It
Yeah.
I
didn't seem
know.
to be a part of everything else.
Plus, as a reader, it was obvious to me that the guy was talking about himself.
Yes.
Me too.
That was clear, yeah, I knew that
Yeah,
right away.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this guy didn't know
But I
that.
knew that from the summary.
Approximately
No, I just-
52
well-
years ago.
Approximately, that bothered me.
Yeah, but
Approximately.
That's nailing
Let's
it in
go
the
approximately 50
calendar.
But even
yeah.
without the summary, I've read 50,000 mysteries. I mean,
Yeah.
you can pick that up right away. So
Yeah.
my question is, should the guy in this, and we're almost out of time,
Okay.
would the guy in the story have known, should he have known that he was talking about himself? Does it matter?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funny because with all this, I liked the scene between the two of them.
Yeah, I did
For,
too.
Right.
for whatever reason, the back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed reading that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I did too.
yeah.
I- We have to think about summarizing. We have less than a minute
Okay.
left.
I just have a couple of technical things. If you look at the first, 4 paragraphs, they all start with I. So you want to vary various sentence starters and vary your paragraph starters. Try to avoid like I looked, I heard, and I marked that on my page how you could rewrite that.
Some problems with tenses too.
Yeah, tense, and
Yes,
then
I noticed.
there were, there is. You want to avoid kind of that
No, there-
structure also.
There are times when, if this is English as a second language,
Oh yeah,
those-
that's fine.
that's,
Yeah.
misconstructions are fine.
Yeah, if it's the old
It
man.
In
emphasizes
dialogue,
this.
when the
Yes.
man
Right.
is telling his
Well,
story. In the
he's
story
still,
itself?
the whole story's being
Oh,
told.
I see.
Right.
Well, he says,
Yeah.
there were stone boulders. You don't need, all
know.
boulders were stone.
So we do have, we
some
have to wrap it
redundancy.
up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm just watching the clock.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, it's
but I liked
okay.
it. I did like it.
I did like the
I'd be
story, yeah.
I would have kept reading. I would have wanted to have known what happened.
We can get the rest of the story. He offered to send it.
That's awesome.
Great.
Send it.
We'll
I'll
read
read
it.
it.
I'd like
We'll
to,
read
I'd like
it.
to see it.
Send it
So
by
it's
bus.
good. We're all interested in reading it. Please keep in mind just a few of the pointers we gave. You can, take what you'd like, but we definitely want to see, or at least I do, more emotion in the traveler. Be sequential about what you're telling, and just we really talked about everything else. More emotion and some connections you can make between him and and the
raggedy
story.
traveler.
He's writing about, if he's a lecture of mythology, you could really bring something in there.
Yeah.
Because it is
Yep.
mysterious that this guy clung onto a tree and he survived.
Yeah, I like the uniqueness of the stranger.
Yeah.
That's the hook for me. He's
Yeah.
so different that I'm saying, okay, let's find out about
He's
him.
Yeah.
intriguing.
Yeah, he is intriguing.
Okay.
And
Well,
young.
Abhishek, thank you so much for submitting. We enjoyed your story, and I'm going to write you to ask us to send the rest of it because we'd like to read it. We hope our critique helped today. Thanks for everyone else for joining us for this episode of Writers Infusion. We will see you next time. Keep writing.